Lunchtime, kids! All right! Hello, friends. It's lunchtime.
It's Monday in America.
That's one way to start this thing off.
12:16 in Dallas. And you're watching The Lunch Break. Yes, we are at a live remote at the Ross Tower, downtown Dallas, DFW, 14th floor, as you can see if you're watching us on stream. And I am hosting the show for the first time. Very excited. Hoping one of you can help dig me out of this hole. Yeah, this is
I don't think that's true.
for the lunch break. Yeah, this is the first time I've hosted it.
For a live stream, it is. You've hosted before.
The lunch break?
Like one of the early ones.
Yeah.
Early
Have I
ones.
really?
Yeah.
I don't recall
We were
that at
testing
all.
you out, and then you did never get to do
Right.
it again.
You
Well,
failed,
that-
and now
That
here we are.
explains a lot. Yeah, so for the first time, I'm using this headset,
Yeah.
which is new.
Yep.
You guys have used these before.
No, this is our travel rig, so we
Yeah.
only use this when we're doing live
Right.
remotes.
This setup is, of course, the travel rig. What do you guys think so far?
I mean, so far, it's great. We were supposed to go live at 11.
Okay.
And
see,
there were some hang-ups.
There were some bugs in the machinery.
Yeah, some bugs, some more bugs, and
It's-
then the least thing that we have to worry
Right.
about are these headsets.
Yeah.
right,
These seem to be working as designed.
These aren't a bug, they're a feature. So
Yeah.
this weekend was Easter weekend, and we've got a lot of good news to get to. But before we get there, I wanted to talk about April 1st. Because it happened to be the day. April 1st, Easter, the weekend. Matt, what'd you do? I was going to say what'd you guys do, but Matt, what'd you do?
What did I do? I didn't. We kind of hung around the house. You know, Easter here. I know you were down in Houston, but up here in Dallas, it was kind of a gloomy day.
Uh-huh.
It was a little chilly, and so I did a little yard work. Hung out in the house, had the windows open. It was quite nice, but we didn't really go out and do anything.
I went to Houston, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
I spent some time with the family,
You bet.
which was good. Weather was all right down there. Really, what I wanted to get to here was I didn't see a whole lot of cool stuff going on for April 1st, April Fool's. It's kind of a slow year.
A little bit. I know I saw a couple of things. Folks, check in if you saw anything good for April Fool's Day. But, yeah, it was relatively quiet. It's also one of those days where I tend to just stay off the internet because everything is, everything is trying to fool you in every way possible. So I did see one thing that I thought was funny.
Right.
And it was, I'm pretty sure this was an April Fool's gag, although they rolled it out early, which was the glasses company Warby Parker. If you're familiar with they make eyeglasses.
Yeah. Sure. Kind of a higher end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did a deal with Arby's, and so it was Warby's, and they had Arby's themed products.
As they do.
Which I believe were available at certain pop-up stores to
really?
to buy these.
You could actually get them.
Like an onion ring monocle and roast beef looking glasses and things like that. So kudos to them for going the extra mile, I guess. But other than that, I didn't really see a whole lot that blew my skirt up, so to speak.
I saw Netflix acquired Seth Rogen, which was funny.
Yeah, that was a funny bit.
For a minute.
Yeah.
And this camp called Camp No Counselors, which is an adult summer camp for adults. Well, I guess a children's summer camp for adults really is what that is. Tweeted about Macaulay Culkin coming out.
Okay.
Which is funny because that actually got him on Twitter to respond. And I'm pretty sure as of this morning, he's actually going to go to one of their summer camps. So
okay.
Mission
So it
accomplished.
worked out.
My point is, I mean, like lately on this show, we've been talking about like funny bits like the Pizza Hut high tops, which I saw an ad for the other day. Those are a real thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, get on board with that, kids. And the Einstein's Brothers bacon and cheese shampoo.
Mm-hmm. People are looking for their slice of the internet pie.
Yeah, and I guess because
Trying
of
to make 'em
that,
famous.
April Fool's just felt kind of lame this year. I feel like
Yeah.
in the past there have been bits that like I genuinely thought were going to be a thing. Like I was actually fooled.
It really does feel. The one I remember most is when, which I don't know if this says anything, that I remember this one the most, when Butterfinger renamed themselves The Finger, and they sent out packaging
Yeah.
And I think it was probably just a bit. I mean, it was an April Fool's bit, but they did actually print wrappers that said "the finger" on it, and they sent them to radio stations. So we got a whole box of the finger.
The finger.
And I remember people being like very upset about this, and it ended up being a gag. I don't know that they ever were really going to go through with it. Maybe they would if people liked it, but I think people were very upset, and they changed back to Butterfinger. But for a while there, it was the finger. And there was something oddly off-putting about that I just never. I don't know that they quite considered what that meant or anything like that.
It's a bummer. I pulled up a list of the best and worst April Fool's things this year.
From this year, it really does feel like with social media nowadays that people are just constantly, like year round, it's April Fool's, right? People are just constantly doing bits.
Right. Well, that's what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
There's this great. There's this great bit on The Simpsons. You remember that show? You ever seen this?
Yeah, I've heard of
Where
it.
Mr. Burns, an older character, a monopolistic individual.
Sure.
He's very old, right? He's very decrepit. And he goes to the doctor at one point, and he asks him, how am I not getting sick? How has nothing caught me by now? And the doctor explains, well, listen, here's the deal with an immune system, right? Normally an immune system is like a wall. And the flu or pneumonia or something will come along. It's like a needle, punches right through, and it gets you. But you're so old that your immune system is like a doorway, and every disease is trying to cram through. And because none of them can get through, because they're all trying to get through at the same time,
Not one can get you.
you're fine.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of how I felt about this year's April Fool's. Just disappointing. Nothing really jumped out at me as awesome.
Yeah.
It was kind of a bummer. Roku premiered some kind of socks, which was fake.
So this was not
Roku
real.
happy streaming socks.
See,
yeah.
now I would appreciate it if like they come up with some dumb product and then they actually launch something. Like,
Right.
You can get 10 of these, but we actually did make them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
SodaStream, if you're familiar with them, they came out with the Soda Soak,
Okay.
which is for your bathtub.
Oh, okay.
So you can-
I thought it was like a super soaker, which would be even better.
Yeah. Snapchat made a bot or a filter that makes it look like Russian bots are liking your post.
Okay.
In a Facebook chat.
All right.
Funny.
Yeah. Topical.
Yeah, Sprint premiered a Magic 8 ball, which is a soccer ball that acts as a network, like tower, essentially. It's just nothing like really.
Are these they're just making fake ads,
Yeah,
I guess, for
I'm
the
like,
stuff?
who's working on this stuff? There was a time when this mattered. This was genuinely like if you came up with the good April Fool's bit, it was good PR.
Yeah.
Now it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Everybody gave up, I guess. I don't know if we're jaded by fake news or what. But,
Maybe during the break we'll look up a list of the best
perhaps we will.
the best company April Fool's gags of all
Right.
time.
Well,
But
we should
like I
look
said, the
at it.
only one that jumps out for me is the finger, so that whatever that says.
Right. So, coming back from break, we'll be talking about what Dallas Startup Week actually is. I'm hoping the first few minutes here of just kind of casual banter were enough to get some people interested. We'll get Josh back and see where he's been and who he's been talking to and what he's got going on. So, yeah, we'll be right back with more of the lunch break right after these words. Welcome back to the lunch break for, what's the date today? The 2nd? April 2nd?
April 2nd.
Being that yesterday was April Fool's.
Mhm.
We're back with Josh.
Yes, hello, sorry.
I think we should actually talk about what Startup Week is. Andy Draper was quick to point that out in the comments.
What
I wanted
be
to
Startup Week?
try to get people interested with some radical topics at the beginning. And
Yeah.
now that we're here, let's talk about what Dallas Startup Week is. So, Josh.
Yes, go ahead.
I did it last year, but I don't want to spoil
no, please, jump in. Jump in. I want you to take the ball on this.
Yes, Dallas Startup
Nobody jump on that grenade first.
Dallas Startup Week is a week in Dallas where essentially small business owners and entrepreneurs and people looking to get started can get together and meet and have panels and networking opportunities and just kind of talk about what they're into. There's different categories of people to kind of jump into. We've got gaming, there's financial stuff, there's everything you would need to get into any kind of small business in DFW. Unfortunately, because there's so many people here, you can't see the windows, but if you could, it's really an opportunity for people to get to know each other and spread their wings a little bit.
Yeah, the cool part about it, if you haven't, hey, I haven't gotten tickets yet or whatever it is, it's free.
Yeah.
It's a free event.
Right.
So you just come down here, give them your email, give them your name. They give you stuff. You have to register for certain things, and certain things can book up and sell out.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it doesn't cost you anything to come learn. And from what I can tell from just kind of walking around, there's several panels that happen all the time. So there's always information, and they have an app where you can follow which ones are going on. So that portion of it's really cool. Usually when you have these kinds of events, you have to pay to get in the door. Then once you're in the door, it's pay for this and pay for that, and a lot of little nickel and dime stuff. And
Right.
Startup Week so far, it's really easy to get down here. And then once you're here, there's a very accepting group of people who are looking forward to helping you. And there's on the 13th floor, so we're on the 14th floor right now. On the 13th floor, there's a whole mentoring section where if you have a question or, hey, no, I'm having a hard time with this one thing, you can walk in and, from what I can tell, again, it's free, sit down with someone who can help mentor you in that thing. So basically, it's bigger businesses helping smaller businesses thrive here in Dallas, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
And there are people stationed around like we are, which people want to come by and find out what we're about. We're able to tell them, and the same goes for other companies. There's folks to our right here that offer financial services for a small business. If you need somebody to help you with your financial outlook, they're here. There's other people stationed along the outside here. So more than just a networking event, it's a place to come and say, I'm looking to solve a specific problem. There may be somebody here that can help you out, and it's basically come by, talk to them, see what they're about, and see if they can give you some assistance.
And the free part can't be underlined enough. They have completely free Wi-Fi, food. They're doing food in 20 minutes, which I'm hoping we can get in on. They've got beverages. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's really cool how you can just kind of walk up to people. You don't have to pay for anybody's autograph. Or anything. You can just stroll up after a panel and say,
Except
hey.
for ours.
Yeah. And this year they're a little bit more spread out than last year, which is troublesome for us being in one place trying to find people to talk to. But they've got a gaming track up in Frisco. They've got a lot of other stuff, but really that's the one personally I'm most interested in.
Sorry, we're not there.
Well, it happens. Maybe next year. It'll be all right. But hopefully we can find somebody to talk to about what Dallas Startup Week is, and hopefully somebody's a little bit more involved.
Well, the cool part is that we've had several people come by, and we've done a lot of talking about what we do in the broadcasting realm. One of the things that people are still kind of hesitant to hop on a show with two people that they don't know. So, but I think after people kind of warm up to the idea, we'll see a lot more. And we can always jump in and do a live Facebook Live, and it can be a shorter version. So just keep your alerts on active, and you can get up-to-date content with who we find.
Yeah, like and subscribe. You guys think the headsets are more attractive to people walking up and chatting, or less than a handheld mic? I think they look more professional.
I think they're cool looking. People want to come and slip these bad boys on
I
their
wonder,
heads.
Yeah.
Are you saying more do I feel sexier with it on?
No, I mean, do you think?
Because yes.
Well, here's honestly the core of my question.
Please.
A handheld's germ-free. You can hold it an inch away from your face. These you have to there's skin-on-skin contact. You don't know whose ears have been wearing these. You know what I mean?
Well,
now.
Shoot a hole in this whole thing.
Well, and I didn't mean to. I'm just curious if there's anything.
Awesome.
No, come on. I didn't. Anyway, I do have a topic if you guys want to get
Please,
to it.
yeah.
Credit cards.
Okay.
I've heard of them.
Everybody's got them. I don't actually.
Yeah.
I'm a debit card man.
You don't have credit cards?
I don't.
Not a single
Is
one, even for emergency.
Is there a
No.
particular reason why? Like, are you one of those guys like I cut up my credit cards and?
No, well, my parents were, and I realize now that's kind of irresponsible because I need to start building a line of credit at some point.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And
should probably get one.
And just from like I'm not a financial advisor. Full disclosure. But with a credit card, if you get your credit card information stolen and someone goes to town on your card, which can happen on a credit card as easily as it can on a debit card.
Right.
Someone goes to town with your info. With a credit card, they put that money off to the side. So you're not charged interest, nothing like that, and you just get to keep going. With a debit card, you still are out that cash until they agree that your card was stolen, and then they return your cash. So there's a longer wait period, of people taking all the cash you have out of your account.
Yeah.
And then you have no money for 2 weeks while they wait to investigate whether or not this was a false claim or a proper claim. So just from that point alone, as long as you pay off your credit card every month, credit cards are a way. I haven't used a debit card except to get cash out of an ATM from time to time. Ever. Like I don't ever use it. I don't have one in my wallet right now.
Wow, I'm exclusive debit. Matt, where are you in this whole thing?
I have a mix of both. I tend to use debit for normal everyday purchases, but we do have credit cards for things like a big purchase or emergencies or things like that. We don't depend on them, but they're there in case of we need them.
Right. Do y'all guys get the points? Like, do y'all guys get
no, I don't.
Cashback rewards?
Yeah. So for me, I've been able to buy four TVs. 3 trips, two trips, 4 TVs and 3 trips over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Just for using a credit card.
Wow.
Just from the rewards points.
Yeah.
Well, look at you.
I know.
I'm saying like there's benefits to using credit cards.
There are, yeah, sure.
If you're responsible, not that y'all guys aren't, but if you're responsible and you pay off your balance every year, just if you're out there and you're wondering why, it's just one of those deals. If only reason why I would suggest someone not use credit cards is if they can't think of it in the way of like, I spent $20.
This is money.
This is actual money. Yeah.
Which when I was just getting out of college, I did not feel that way, and so it was like spent forever paying off.
Someone gave me $8,000.
Yeah. Suddenly that $20 pizza turns into a $300 pizza because I don't pay it off right away.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's funny you mention credit card security because according to this, credit cards may stop requiring signatures for purchases in the future. In fact, it says later this month you likely won't have to sign for credit card purchases.
Stupid.
Why?
Signatures? Because I every time for the last 8 years, I just draw a line. I'm like, yep, you're good. Yeah. You're good.
That'll hold up in court.
I do still sign my name, but my wife's is just like an M and then just nothing.
I have before put like stop in there, like stop making me do this. I can tell no one reads
Sending
this.
a message.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the smiley face. Like honestly, I've been doing that for a couple of years because I figured out that it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't come up anywhere. You can literally draw a smiley face and it's cool. Like
I suppose if you had to go back and prove that it wasn't you, and they can match it against your signature.
Well, someone did the smiley face,
right?
And we see the last smiley face you did was exactly like this.
Right. I'd like to present this piece of evidence, a Facebook live stream where Josh Hart explained he draws a line. There you go. That's as good as that gets. Yeah. According to this, they think bypassing the signature will make checkouts go faster, and they'll still be secure thanks to the EMV chip,
which is the chip. Europe had that chip long before we had that chip.
Where do you land on the chip?
I love the chip.
I kind of hate the chip. It takes longer.
It takes longer.
Yeah,
it does take longer.
Yeah,
I will say.
And the machine beeps at you. It's like angry.
Oh gosh, the angry remove your card.
Which I know why they do that. Funny story. Verifone, the company that owns like every credit card register machine in the world, when they were testing the EMV chip, they had like a pleasant like ba-da-ding or something like at the end. People would forget to take their cards. They wouldn't think about it. It'd just be like a pleasant sound, you move on. But if it's angry.
Yeah, so now it's just like an air horn going off on you. Like
all right. All right.
Yeah, then everybody in line looks at you and like, I gotta take my card. No, it's just longer. It's longer than the swipe. That's the only reason. I understand it's more secure, but
my problem comes in like I'll go
dude,
to
what cost?
I go to places. So QT, a
Quick Trip,
a
yep.
Quick Trip,
Yeah.
a
Heard of it?
a gas station chain around here. Very good. But they, for a long time, they took forever to adopt the chip. They were swipe only up until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And once they adopted the chip, I go there a couple times a week, grab a snack or whatever, or fill up, and I go swipe, and it's like, nope, you got to insert the chip now. When for years they have been swipe only when everybody else has gone to chip. So now it's just an added step at the register where I'm swiping, and then they go, no, you got to use the chip now, and okay, I do the chip thing, and it's still, I hate it.
Funny
I've
story.
been knocking my headphones off.
On my drive to Houston this week, and of course I stopped at a Lone Star staple, Buc-ee's. You're familiar?
Yes,
I'm sure.
Love
Yeah.
Buc-ee's.
They still do the swipe.
Yeah.
I know, you would think something big like that would have switched to the chip. But I guess it is what it is.
Some people don't like it.
I also feel bad for every cashier who has to tell people, like, insert your card now. Because
Yeah,
we're still
no,
in that
put your card
phase. Society hasn't quite figured it out. Not
We'll get
everybody just does it. I think I'm there. I usually just
Once
go
we get
for
there,
it.
they'll change to something else.
Speaking of change to something else, when we come back from this
Look at
next
that.
break,
Look at that segue. I was hoping we were going to have a segue, and he nailed it.
How about that?
when we come back from this next break, we're talking about apps that might help people be better people. We'll find out more about that after these words. Welcome back to the lunch break. After a brief break, you might notice a change in studio setting. A new table. Yeah, we've got Josh Hart behind, of course. Josh, give the camera a wave.
I stole a table from the Ross Tower table.
Which is our home today.
Yeah.
Ross Tower.
Well,
You've never been here.
You needed it. You went for it. I think most people at Dallas Startup Week would respect that.
Yeah. No, that's entrepreneurship in action.
Speaking of entrepreneurship, I want to talk about a new app. You guys heard about this?
No. I've
an
not
app
heard of a new app ever.
It's an app in Israel.
Tell me more.
All right, so let me get started. This new app connects people with severe allergies to other allergy sufferers with a life-saving EpiPen nearby. For anybody who doesn't know, EpiPens are those, like, cool, I was going to say hyperbolic. That's not the word I'm looking for. Excuse me? Yeah, they're for people who are dying, and you shoot them with an EpiPen, and you come right back to life. I think Pulp Fiction had one, right?
I think that might have been an adrenaline shot that they used.
What's the difference, really?
I think a big. I don't believe you have to stab the EpiPen directly into your heart.
EpiPens are for people with severe allergic reactions. I thought it was a shot of adrenaline. That's what you're still getting.
So the EpiPen is like basically the allergy is making your throat So basically, it's like a giant like Benadryl. It's a giant like superpower Benadryl that takes away the allergic reaction that you're having.
Well, people have noticed. Israeli researchers have noticed that in Israel, there are a lot of people who seem to be suffering from allergic reactions in public. I'm not sure if that's an issue with their Food and Drug Administration, I should say, or what. But
pollen count really high this year.
In order to solve this small problem, they came up with a solution in the Epimada app, EPIMADA, for our listeners at home, which is for registering people with EpiPens. And then people on the app, when there's an allergic reaction, they can hit it, and it's like an SOS to anybody in the area that has an EpiPen.
This is like Uber for EpiPens.
Exactly. Like Uber for EpiPens.
Here's why this is never going to work.
Why is that?
Multiple reasons. The biggest one.
I had one, but go ahead.
Okay, the one that I see is if I need an EpiPen. So obviously I'm not carrying around one just because it's cool. I need it because I have to have it.
Yeah.
So if I have to have one, I'm going to have it on. If some stranger walks up to me,
not giving it.
It's a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Right. If I give you one, I don't have one. So I'm like, if it's a life-altering thing, I'm not just going to go around willy-nilly handing out EpiPens. They're expensive. Like they're like $600 a pop.
Right.
So, yeah, no one's going to share.
Well, I'd assume this is a fair trade scenario. I mean, obviously, if the individual you're giving an EpiPen to has an allergic reaction, they probably have them. They just don't have one on them. So naturally, they'd probably give you one of theirs later, right?
One would hope.
Sorry, here's one of mine.
I'm gonna have a swipe.
Right.
You know, $1,000.
I'm
gonna have my EpiPen.
Right.
That's the service.
You just bring a square with you and say, here.
That's the service. Is have a guy on like a scooter in downtown Israel.
Right.
Jerusalem. There you go. And he rides around with like 40 EpiPens and just looks for someone, takes off, has a swipe, $1,000. Boom.
Right.
Life saved.
That's why this would never work in America, because we're not like that here. We're not hospitable. We're not congenial, at least to strangers. I mean, come on, if somebody hits that and you could save somebody's life, or you could be like,
again, it's a zero-sum game. So odds are I'm fine, but let's say it's my kid.
Yeah.
And I save someone. 45 minutes later, we're still walking around. He gets an allergic reaction. I'm putting him at risk to save a stranger. It's not going to happen.
You use the cool app. And you get some.
No.
Just pass it
along.
Yeah.
No.
You're doing a good deed.
No.
Yeah, you're paying it forward.
And I say no because I think the world says no. The world says no to that.
Right. Apparently, they currently have hundreds of registered users.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see what happens whenever. Let's see what happens whenever somebody actually sends an alert out.
It does also help. Israel's a little bit smaller than America.
Yep.
So people a little bit more concise, I think. Maybe in a major metropolitan city it might work, but even then, you drop that in New York, you think people are going to be saving each other? Like,
no.
Maybe not.
No.
Has the people who developed the I've fallen and I can't get up technology, have they jumped on something like this? Because that seems like a layup. Phones have gyrometers on them. Like a senior citizen, they could fall over and their phone would be like, ba-ding, you're in trouble.
My dad, he has a disease that makes it hard for him to walk, and so he has like a little scooter that he rides around in.
Yeah.
But he still is an old man and is stubborn.
Sure.
And doesn't always use that. He uses his walker from time to time. And he has a button. They're still at the button you have to wear around your neck that nobody wants to wear. It's basically a giant plastic doorbell, and he never wears it. And so he just ends up falling and then just lays there for until someone finally comes home.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, just here.
So and at no point afterwards does he express regret for not having his button on?
Oh, yeah. And then he'll wear it for like a day or two.
Okay.
And then he'll go, this is dumb. I'm not falling today. And then sure enough, inevitably he falls again. And then
Well, it's an inconvenience. There's got to be a better way to do that, right?
I guess so. Like, is that? Yeah. Have we not progressed technology for not having to wear this around my neck at all times?
I think the answer to that isn't the badge. The answer to that is instead of a badge, you get a Amazon Echo or whatever it is that has a voice activated.
You can yell.
So you can just yell, "I've fallen and I can't get up," and somewhere in the house, it sends an alert, which sends the alarm, which brings people to your house.
Can we not have like a watch, like a Fitbit or something like that you can?
You can do that.
Well, it probably costs more to produce a watch than it does to produce those buttons. Yeah.
They got the giant button factory rolling. We
Well,
can't
I was
shut this-
I was
shut
thinking
this
like
thing down.
I was thinking like an ankle bracelet or something. But I guess you got to consider how somebody falls and how they might be injured and whether or not they could reach their ankle. Right?
Yeah, if I say if they can't like walk around, they can't put on their shoes. They can't.
Yeah, it was like a button like right in the middle of my back, which is really easy.
Well, that's why the vocal, that seems like the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you could just say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that would be the surefire way to go on that
Okay,
one.
Google, call the hospital.
Yeah.
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 Because my phone has that, but he didn't have a smartphone because he's that guy.
Sure.
What does he have?
He has the, I don't know what it's called. It's not the sidekick, but it has the sidekick like the flip up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he never uses that, but
Okay.
he has the ability to because they couldn't sell. He wanted to have email on his phone. He finally got email. We talked about that. So he has email and texting. He never answers any email, but he can see it, and then the phone call. He won't go to a smartphone ever. I did try to tell him on a smartphone because he loves playing solitaire. So on a smartphone, they got solitaire built in. You can get the app, boom, play all the time.
Yeah.
And that was like the I can see.
He's like, wait a minute.
Wait
a minute. Maybe
game changer.
maybe I've been wrong all this time.
Yeah. So that was the teaser for him.
It's a hot tip for everybody selling phones out there.
Put
Shop that solitaire around.
Yeah.
Well, for those of us who may be afraid to step out into society following Josh's admission that he would not save somebody's life if given the choice, and might be afraid of falling down and not being able to get up, we've got a job for you coming up in the next segment, a little bit of binge-watching related material, so stay tuned. We'll be back on the lunch break. Welcome back to the lunch break. Just about halfway through our show, I think. And before we get to our binge-watching related content, we want to sit down with one of our neighbors. Yes, Fred Parrish from the Profit Experts. Fred, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you are just kind of posted up next to us here. And before we get into what you do, let's talk about why you're here. Dallas Startup Week, what brings you?
Well, we were actually invited by Chase. We've been working with Chase for, a number of years. And we are talking with them about a number of different technology initiatives they have underway.
Sure.
And so we have been, again, working with the small business group there at Chase. And Susie Linebaugh, who heads that up for the Dallas area, invited us to come down and show people what we do.
Well, Chase is kind of the headline sponsor here. They're the big cheese, as it were, so it's not easy to get tangled up with them, especially with a lot of the startup entrepreneurs here. How does the Profit Experts get involved? What do you guys do?
Well, we actually provide CFO services to small companies, and what we are here to talk about is an automated CFO application.
Sure.
And so basically what that provides to a small business owner is the ability to take their QuickBooks data, which is all accounting related information, and translate that into what we call operational intelligence, and then with embedded video and some support that we provide, really teach them how to use that information to predict what their profitability is going to be, and then even more importantly than that, what kinds of cash flow, cash balances they're going to have by week through the end of next year.
It's one thing, it may be painting with a little bit of a broad brush, but it's when you think about entrepreneurs and startups, you're usually looking at somebody who's probably really good at a couple of things, but maybe they don't have the full picture of running a business. They say they have a good idea, or maybe they do have a head for finance, but they don't have a good product or something like that. You guys can help at least check one of those boxes where it's okay if you don't have somebody who's doing your forecast, and if you don't have a dedicated CFO, we can help with that and take that off your plate, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Probably 99+% of all small business owners either know how to sell something or make something to be sold. Whether it's a product or a service really is irrelevant. So they're kind of left to muddle through the accounting data again, and a true CFO is a very expensive animal. In the Dallas area, you're talking a minimum $200,000 a year in salary, and most small business owners can't even think about that.
Yeah.
So we have taken that functionality and automated it from another platform that we have that is a virtual CFO service, where we provide a real live 30 year seasoned financial manager as an advisor, as a coach. Does all the analysis, then interprets the data that is coming out of the software, and then helps coach that business owner. We've taken all that functionality and automated that in the Profit Beacon software that we're here to talk about. And it really is more appropriate to those even smaller companies that may not even have the ability to pay, $300 or $400 a month for that service.
Right.
Our Profit Beacon software is $49 a month on a subscription basis.
Do you think that's something that trips up a lot of small business owners, is the inability to forecast properly and plan for the future?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. I have worked with hundreds of small business owners in the last 15 years. And unfortunately, I've watched a lot of those people who are otherwise very bright, very capable people run their companies into a wall because they can't see what's coming. And by the time they do see it, it's too late to do anything about it. So we have been able to help well more than 50% of the companies that we have worked with avoid that ugly outcome of bankruptcy or just going out of business.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to ask about, I think I've heard it said before, and please, if you feel differently, let me know, because I heard it said once, it's fine, that a company needs an HR rep when it hits 17 employees. When you got 17 people, that's when you need HR. I don't know why that's the magic number. I'm not a small business owner. That's just what I've heard. When does somebody need your services? When you've got 5, 10, right at the beginning?
Well, yes, I think right at the beginning, because the number one reason companies go out of business, other than the fact that they should have never been in business to start with, is they run out of cash. And that's why the Profit Beacon was developed, to give that small business owner an affordable, intelligent capability without having to go and go through the pain and suffering of learning finance or accounting. And with an HR department, yes, I think that is something that does require an investment.
Right.
And so you need a staff of people that supposedly is generating enough revenue to support that staff. Then you will have the need for employee manual and all of those management aspects to handle that workforce. The cash management component, right out of the box, you really need an ability to do that. And if you can't afford $49 a month, then do something. Get a spreadsheet, learn how to use some basic functions in the spreadsheet, get a piece of paper, start writing out what you think your cash flow is going to look like. Because again, that is the number one reason why companies don't survive.
How has developing for small business kind of changed your approach? I know you said you've worked with Chase. I'm sure you've worked with some big businesses in the past. For small businesses, I think things need to be quick. They need to be fast. They need to be easy. I mean, if they could have a big CFO to take care of things for them, they would. But with your service, it needs to be a little bit more user-friendly, maybe to people who aren't as familiar with accounting as they should be to own a small
No, that's
business.
absolutely
So,
right.
Yeah, how has that affected you guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have developed the Profit Beacon to be so easy for that non-finance business owner that literally, now I know the software pretty well since I helped design it,
Sure.
but I have been able to go onto our site, set up a brand new user, answer a handful of questions, load the data from QuickBooks, and generate a 2-year monthly P&L and weekly cash flow forecast in 8 minutes.
Wow.
It's that easy.
And this is up to 2 years ahead,
Right.
week by week?
Well, the cash flow is weekly, and we use calendar week, so the weekend's on Friday. And we start with the most recent QuickBooks balance because we're capturing all of the QuickBooks transaction data as the business owner is loading that information up to the point that they have closed their books, so to speak, quote unquote.
Sure.
And so every month when they go in and reload the data because they've closed another month, software updates for their actual transactions, starts with that cash balance and adjusts everything going forward. So they really don't have to think too much about where they have been because the software captures all of that. And really 2 or 3 questions about how their revenue has changed from last year to this year and what they expect from this year to next year. Same thing with their expenses. They can then generate as many different versions of those future outcomes as they want.
Wow.
We also have something that's called a project wizard. And that allows the business owner to test a new contract, a new customer. If they lose a customer, what's that going to do to my cash flow? So again, they can just go in and answer a few questions about what kind of revenue you expect in this project, what are the related expenses, if you have any capital expenditures, buying a piece of equipment or a truck or something like that. And then the software will layer those projects. You can have as many projects as you want, and then run new forecasts to show what the impact of those different variations on your current operating profile, let's call it, how the company is operating today. Software will layer all that in with the right timing and show what the effect is from a profitability perspective, but again, more importantly from a cash flow perspective, because that is the issue.
Yeah, so you can not only plan for what you have right now, but you can build in, well, what would it be like if we grew a little bit, or what would it be like if, like you said, we lost somebody, if you're working with a client that may be on the fence and say, well, can we afford to lose this person and still maintain our business? And so you're able to
that's right.
workshop all that stuff.
Exactly. And we have some general questions that we use to explain to business owners what the software really answers. What happens if my payroll goes up or down, if I have to hire some new people, or if someone leaves and I have been able to replace them? What if I add a new shift? What if I have to buy some inventory, a piece of equipment? And again, the real question is, how much cash am I going to have through the end of next year, for the next couple of years, so I can do some planning? If you find yourself with a negative cash balance at some point in the future, it gives you enough runway to do something about it. And what we have found is, and it's an absolute certainty, the longer time you have to address a problem, the less drastic those actions have to be in order to fix it.
Yeah.
If you run up on a problem, you're going to have to do something pretty draconian, and it's going to hurt the company.
Sure. And on the flip side of that, I wanted to ask about what happens when disaster strikes. It's a flood, a fire, something happens, and suddenly you're set way back. How does the software bounce back?
Well, the software will, again, it takes the data from QuickBooks. So whatever is happening in the company is being recorded.
Yeah.
And so as we load data, we take a year at a time. So anything that happens, if we have to go back and adjust some things, a few months back, some people don't reconcile their bank accounts every month. So if it goes back and makes they make some changes, then we capture all of that. So if there's some, catastrophic event that occurs and they have to shut down for a while, they won't have any revenue, but they're still going to have some expense. They may not have payroll if they have, laid their people off or just haven't been able to pay them for a couple of weeks, but they have rent and they have other fixed costs that they're still going to have to pay. They have to record that in QuickBooks anyway. The software captures that, and there is an ability in the software to identify a shorter period of time for the financial analysis that is done in the software, so that if something has changed, maybe it was a good thing, maybe we got a big contract in the last 3 months, we've been operating completely differently than we have for the 12 months prior.
How would, before we let you go, because we're coming up on a break, how would people get in touch with you, and what's the best way to go about learning more about?
Yeah, they can go to theprofitbeacon.com. And that on that site, they can either sign up for a 30-day free trial, or they can also watch a webinar to get some more information. And if they want to contact me directly, I'm more than happy to talk with them. My email address is fparrish, P-A-R-R-I-S-H, @profit-experts.com.
Is it exciting a little bit to see all these young? I see a lot of young people here that are talking to people who are much younger than myself. I'm like, oh, you guys are ahead of the game. It seems like if you're coming to places like this and trying to learn things.
It is, and we've had some very interesting conversations this morning with some of those people, and it's always fun to have those conversations and to see young people being that excited about what it is they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, Fred, thanks for sitting down with us. Fred Parrish with the Profit Experts, of course. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you more at Startup Week. Hopefully we'll see you more being our neighbor. Sorry for the noise.
Oh, no, not a problem at all.
We'll be right back with more about Netflix when we come back. Thanks.
Great. Thanks.
Welcome back to Lunch Break. Before we get to our exciting Netflix-related binge-watching story, hey, it wouldn't I wouldn't keep teasing it if it wasn't going to happen.
If it wasn't great,
all right,
all right,
look
all right.
forward to it. It's going to be great.
Looking
Before
forward
we
to
get
it.
there, we're sitting down with Ryan Grieg from Building Forge. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So Josh has been walking around, talking to people. How'd you get suckered into this whole thing?
Well, he came up to our booth and he saw me and my co-worker, and I guess I was chosen.
Perfect.
Lucky me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Please, tell us about Building Forge.
Yeah, so Building Forge is a parametric building design company. We're trying to service architects and developers for multifamily buildings from ground-up construction. So, there's a lot of effort that goes into, is this the right site? how many units can I fit here, what's it going to look like, and we're just trying to cut the time down that takes from weeks of back and forth to a couple of minutes.
So someone who is neither a contractor or an architect, what does this mean? Explain what the process is, what exactly the holes that you plug.
Of course, yeah. So, if you're looking at an empty piece of land, it's, maybe a rectangle or something like that. And at a high level, the first thing you want to know is how many units can I get on this piece of land? And so you might need, a rough design that doesn't really need to have a lot of detail, but you need to know, this is what the building's roughly going to look like, so you can get a number of how many units, which informs your economics. Is it a feasible site to develop or not?
Gotcha. And I guess my question really is, you guys design apartment buildings, and you wrote an algorithm for it.
Right.
For those of us who are 5 and don't know what that means, what is that exactly?
Yeah, so, an algorithm is just a series of steps. So, there's a lot of code, legal code that's, cities and the national government put out that says, you have to have a staircase every 120 feet or 250 feet or whatever it is, right? And so, we can plug in a lot of that logic into, these computer algorithms that I write in our software that will place those things automatically, so that, you're not thinking that you can get more units in. It's like, no, you have to put all these staircases or this elevator in or whatever it is.
So you're basically someone's able to come to you and say, I've got a piece of land in this municipality. I'm thinking about building a building here. What is, separate from what my design is going to be,
right?
What is the maximum number of units I can have at this space? And you're able to just plug all that in and shoot them an estimate. Yeah,
that's the biggest thing we're trying to inform. Yeah, so, you're always going to have humans in this process. Like, there's maybe way down the future we could get to a place where you could get a lot of this information instantly. But for instance, some of these codes vary city by city, and we don't have an automated way to access that information. So, it's going to take some human process, but we want to say, instead of going back and forth on a couple weeks, it's down to minutes. Yeah.
I'm going to take a hard right turn here. Keep up. I swear it's coming back around. Post Malone, the rapper, right? He needed to come up with a good rapper name. Ran a random rapper name generator.
Okay.
Got Post Malone. How randomly generated are your apartment buildings? How much? I mean, are they pretty much the same? How tall are these things? Like how? I don't know. Yeah.
So I guess I'll. It's hard to describe.
Like I said, hard right turn.
Yeah,
just
no.
really gonna right out of that. Sorry.
So I'm gonna try and I guess start to describe some of these pieces without obviously when we usually present we have the software in front of people. It makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
So most of those questions like how tall is the building, we let the user describe. So they give us a lot of these parameters.
Yeah.
Our only goal is to say, if you were working in AutoCAD, which is traditionally what an architect will do, and you wanted to change a piece of the building, you might have to redraw most of your plan, which take hours or whatever. And what if you just had a button that says add another level or move the garage 20 feet to the right,
Yeah.
And then let all these algorithms fill in the rest of everything else for you based on the parameters that you've provided.
I don't think it's every day that people get into architecture and programming. It's usually one or the other. So where do you land on it?
Yeah, so my buddy's the architect and I'm the programmer. So it's the two of us that started this. We met at University of Texas in Austin, several years ago, and so I went down the game development route. I was at a company in Austin doing that for a couple of years. He did architecture and development at Streetlights Residential. He's a local company in Dallas, and then he had this idea and roped me into it, and then so he teaches me the architecture, and I try and teach the computer the architecture, basically.
Is this your first year at Startup Week, and what do you think so far?
Yeah, no, this is our first. I mean, this is our first event, so
nice. Oh, okay. Well, shoot. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Appreciate
of course.
It.
Yeah.
Huh.
We
so far so good.
Yeah. I mean, literally, we just started about 10 minutes ago, so we've talked to like 2 or 3 people coming by the booth.
Well, not everybody comes on with us. A lot of people are shy. I appreciate you taking the time. How can people find out more about you and Building Forge?
Yeah, so we've got a new website that's testfit.io, which we're kind of rebranding to, or buildingforge.com will have some information as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you go on our website, we schedule demos with people online. So if anyone's curious, we would love to present the software to you in a more visual way, which is usually a better way to understand
it.
And
are you working with people that aren't, what can you design multiple different kinds of buildings, or are you primarily focused on living spaces, or
Yeah, we're strictly multifamily at this point. We're, we would love to get into some of the other building types at some point, but like I said, my buddy's the architect, and he knew multifamily, so we started
That's where
multifamily.
you start with what you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go with
all right.
what you know. Well, Ryan, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right. When we come back, the Netflix story.
Finally.
It's happening.
I can't wait.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to the lunch break. Very excited to be sitting down with another guest. The Netflix story is coming. Stay tuned.
One of these days.
But we want to run everybody through here, make sure everybody's got a chance to talk to us. We're sitting down with Jing Jing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So I guess first thing I wanted to ask was exactly where Mike from Profit Experts kicked us off. He said that I should ask about your majors.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what exactly that means, but we were about to get started, and I said, well, we're going for it. Yeah.
Okay. So my major, yes, I am an electrical engineering major,
Okay.
undergraduate, and then I went to graduate school for computer science. So and then I come from China, and then when I was in undergraduate school, I also took law as a double major, which is a LLB. And then I came over to the U.S. and took a JD. So that's a little bit feel of the majors going on here.
Matt, I
Yes.
went to radio school. What'd you go to?
I do
was
have a
me.
journalism degree. I can say that.
Journalism
but,
degree.
Yeah, not much else. I'm barely using it anymore.
Well, why are you sitting down with us? What brought you here? Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, we're here to, this is a very exciting event. And then, Chase did a wonderful job connecting the business together.
Yeah.
So right now I'm with this Cohen Metals. It's a cloud-based law firm that we have 7 offices around the country.
Wow.
And then we are actually one of the pioneers of the cloud-based law firms. We are very different from traditional law firms.
Cloud-based law firms.
Yes.
So what do people come to you for? I mean, what sort of services do you provide?
A good question. We are a full-service business law firm. Myself is a patent attorney, and then we have we prosecute, we litigate patents, and then other intellectual properties. But we also have partners who do all kind of business transactions, M&As, and real estates, and litigation.
So when you say cloud-based, does that mean do you not have a physical office somewhere, or how does that translate into the real world?
That's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
Meaning that we are working from our home, and then this is the way lawyers. It's a very lawyers. This is a very interesting profession, and then. Year after year, I think lawyers are among the most unhappy professions by statistics, because high stress, and then we have to go to a downtown office, dress up, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So this law firm, I think we established 4 years ago, and then have the mentalities to make the lawyers happy by allowing them to do what they love to do, and at the same time service the client no less. So we are very technology. We have this cloud-based technology. We have the docketing system. We have everything online, and then so we can. We also get together. Our partners get together, but most of the time we work from our own home.
And I imagine being cloud-based, that means it's maybe a little bit more affordable for some of these small businesses that are here.
Absolutely, like
Not
right
paying
now.
for a big fancy building.
Absolutely, that's one of the our advantages. We provide more value to our clients, instead of paying for the building, the renting, the beautiful painting on the wall,
Yeah.
they're paying for their services. So our attorneys, we have about 60 partners at the time in the firm, and many of them are from worked for the most famous law firms in their past, and they were partner levels.
Yeah.
And then they right now, some of them charge like over $1,000 an hour. Right now, we charge like probably half,
Wow.
or even lower than that, than what we used to bill. But we are still able to build a very successful law practice,
See,
and then everybody's happy.
I hadn't considered the cost. What I was thinking was the stress you'd mentioned earlier. Because if I'm going to hire a lawyer, I don't want somebody who's like drinking 8 cups of coffee and is up all night, stressed out. You want somebody who's relatively relaxed, right?
Yes.
You want somebody who makes this look easy.
at home.
Doesn't make it look tough. And it sounds like that's what you guys do. But when you say cloud-based and law, those seem like two separate things, mainly because of like a state bar exam, right?
Yeah.
Lawyers have to be registered to practice in whatever state.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Do you just have somebody in every state, or what's
We
the
are, we are still, even though we are cloud-based, we're still closely following all the ethics rules and the state bar rules. We are not exempt from those. The only difference is that our partners work from home.
Wow.
So what are the, before we let you go, what are the types of, a couple of issues that maybe someone who's here attending the conference, a startup, a young company, what are the sorts of legal issues that they're running into that you guys can help them with? I know you said you're a patent attorney. I assume that's probably a big one. If you have an idea that you're trying to bring to market, having an attorney that could help you with the patent process and protecting your whatever it is that you have is probably very important. What are some other things that you guys can help out with?
Well, we have talked to people here, very interesting, all kinds of different businesses, and then I think technology is also is a main topic.
Yeah.
For many of the startups companies, they're really interested in knowing how can they build up their intellectual property, which is very important if they want to go to the next step, like getting investors in or getting partners. So we talked about that, and then there are also other types of companies. They do like HR, they do like financial services, which we also have a lot of expertise on that we can provide them, excellent service with.
Sure. Well, Jing, I want to thank you for taking the time to sit down with us. Like I said, that doesn't initially sound like something in my head that would work, but talking to you, I'm like, man, I'm not only in the wrong line of work, but like, are you guys hiring? Right? Can I slip you a resume? But thanks for taking the time. How can people find out more about you and Kalain Meadows?
Yes, please go online at www.cohenmeadows.com, and then you can find more about us.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
When we get back, which story? Perhaps.
Maybe.
Stay tuned.
Probably not, though.
Find out. Back to the lunch break. We are sitting down with Kwame Watkins, founder and president of Gengo Consulting. Kwame, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, you bet.
First question, Dallas Startup Week. How'd you get involved in this whole thing?
Initially, I just looked at the Startup Week and really wanted to be involved to talk about my business.
Okay.
And then as I read through what was happening, I saw a greater opportunity to network and reached out to some people here at the conference
Yeah.
and asked to be a part of it.
So are you here as a sponsor, a guest? Where are you in the whole
Combo. I'm here as an
Nice.
attendee, and
Yeah.
I'm also here at the Real Estate Tech Fair.
Okay.
That's happening right now.
Gotcha.
So it's been, I like the variety of guests that we brought on because they've all been here to answer some sort of question that I think a startup company might have. They're coming in with an idea and a dream maybe, and they don't necessarily know how to make it all work. And we've had people that come on that can handle your financial outlook. Our previous guest could handle any law questions that you have. You guys, it looks like you do facilities management. So when it comes to making a building work, you guys can take care of it. Is that right?
That is true. That is true. We have experts all across the U.S. that help us do that. Basically, what we do is we have consultants that are expert in different areas of facilities management, and what they do is they crowdsource solutions for clients. So one client may be an expert, let's say, in building systems of HVAC, but he's not good at cleaning. He's not good at grounds management. We have those experts that can deliver a solution for him quickly and easily using our online portal to be able to do that in a short and easy manner. So what we do is support existing building owners, managers, and facility leaders.
Just a few minutes ago, we were sitting down with Ryan Grieg from Building Forge, and he was talking about multifamily homes. It's residential. What do you guys do? Do you do residential, commercial, everything? Where are you?
We are in the industry verticals of education. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's really cool.
we work with K through 12,
Yeah.
colleges, universities, healthcare,
Nice.
and those are our two main verticals. And the reason is those areas, as you guys understand, would know, have been having a lot of cost pressures.
Sure.
So the facility leaders a lot of times don't have a large staff, and so for them to be expert in everything is literally impossible. And so they need information, knowledge, in a quick, easy format, and we can provide that for them because of those cost pressures for them not being able to hire as many managers.
So are you doing consulting and say, hey, I have this problem, how do I solve it? Or are you actually connecting people to people who can get in there and do the work that they need to get done?
Primarily connecting with us to be able to find those individuals. So we're basically your Google for facilities managers.
Wow.
That can come in and help them figure out where they need to go. And like I said, we have experts all across the U.S. and Canada as well that can help them do that. So we support them to figure out knowledge. And as we know, knowledge is really key to be successful today.
You guys started in 2017, just been going for a year now, and I wanted to ask, how have you built up that kind of group of consultants and kind of curated those experts you've got?
Great question. So I have a 25-year experience working in facilities management in the
Oh,
U.S.
wow. Yeah.
The U.S. and Canada, and I worked for one company for most of that up until I started my own last year.
Yeah.
And with that, I met a lot of great individuals that either retired, have left that company, or have gone on to other companies. And so the majority of our people come down in those three categories. We have people that are retired, let's say in their 60s, but don't want a full-time job. We have individuals that work for a company, but they don't want to drive Uber, but they still want some side income. And then you have other individuals that have said, you know what, I don't want the full-time job anymore, period. I'm still of working age, but I want to start a consulting business. And so this is an easy way for them to begin their entree to talk to clients and get out there.
So you're passionate about this because you were doing this type of work, and you said, looking at the way it operates now, you said there's a better way to do this, or at least there's a better way to help people who maybe can't afford to hire top experts in the field or someone to manage it for themselves.
Exactly. What I saw was you had two different opportunities. One where a client would say, you know what, we're not getting the right solution, so let's outsource it completely to a company. The other one where you had the in-house operation struggling continually and not knowing what to do. And I said, you don't need to go to the extreme of outsourcing it to a company. And for that in-house operation, you have a cost-effective way to bring in those experts to find these solutions for you. So yeah, it's really just 25 years of seeing that there is a different way to do it, and really trying to bring that to the market.
I'm not particularly up on national building codes, or even limited to Canada, I would say, what's going on up there. But if you guys are a national service, How does that kind of change from region to region? I mean, how do you keep track of how things are supposed to be built where and how consumers react with this stuff?
Well, the great thing is we don't have to, because all of our experts are in different locations. And so we leverage them. A big key for us has been LinkedIn. We can search by locality. Let's say if we do have a client in a certain area, who are the facility managers in that area? We reach out to them directly, ask if they'd like to join our project, and therefore we can always be up to date on the local, regional, and national issues or standards for each building.
Where can people find out more about you guys?
GengoConsulting.com.
And that's Jengo, is that correct?
That is correct.
And Gengo was his name. Oh, God, that was awful. I shouldn't have. I was sitting on that for
Not
a
at all
minute, and then I said it, and it just was not worth it. I
And
apologize.
Gengo, and speaking of the word Gengo, Gengo actually does have a meaning.
Really?
Yeah, it does. It has a meaning in the Swahili language.
Oh, wow.
Gengo means building.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the osmosis for why we came up with Gengo Consulting.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Shoot, I should have asked our last guest how they came up with their names. That's a good topical one. I'll keep that in my back pocket. Kwame, thanks so much for sitting down with us.
Hey, it's been my pleasure. Thanks
Thank
a lot. You guys take care.
Thanks. Right. It's time.
The world has been waiting.
After a handful of really good guests, honestly, I got to say I'm impressed. Last year we did Startup Week. Not that we didn't talk to a lot of good people then, but so far we've had a good little run of people. Like you said, very diverse, different businesses. I can get behind it. But
Made
after
last
that,
year look like a bunch of chumps.
That's right. We didn't need 2017. It's 2018. It's very exciting. But yes, we are here to talk about this Netflix story.
Now,
Binge
you
watch
could
it.
have searched it in the time that we've been teasing this.
But you didn't know what I was talking about. It could have been April Fool's for all you know. So you'll never really know until right now. Yes, Netflix is looking to hire a couple of new people.
Whoop.
You might have seen this on social media. I've seen it before, and this is kind of where I want to get into this on that foot. But Netflix is looking for a professional binge watcher.
Really?
Yes,
So someone just to
Netflix-
sit and watch Netflix all
That's what
day.
it sounds like. Yeah, Netflix recently listed a new job opening for what they call an editorial and analyst of original content, which is a very fancy way of saying we want to see what you think about the things that you watch. They're looking for a professional binge watcher. Qualified candidates, in case you're interested, must be knowledgeable about TV and movies and have an ability to summarize what they're watching, plus plenty of time to watch programming.
Yeah.
You stay at home. You don't have to go to
Okay.
an office for this.
I don't have to go to the Netflix office and
No
watch on their...
uniform required. You don't have to set up a camera or anything so they can watch your eyes and make sure you're still awake.
Yeah.
You can claim that you watched it if you want.
So what are they looking
This is
for
the job.
here? Are they looking for someone who can critique this stuff? Are they looking for someone who can offer a more detailed search terms or something like that?
This is what's interesting about this, because like I said, I've seen this on social media before, and I feel like this is one of those stories that isn't fake per se, but with the amount of kind of data management and consulting that Netflix does in looking at who watches what and how long they watch it, I'm confused as to why they would need one person's opinion.
Right.
Why would you care what one person thinks when you can see 8 million people tuned into your new Netflix original content?
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
I
don't-
guess they're not getting feedback from those people, and that's what they're looking for, right? They're looking for someone who can watch the stuff and offer some sort of
Right.
something
yes.
on the return rather than
yeah.
just skipping on to the next thing.
It says responsibilities of this job are to watch, research, rate, tag, and annotate, and write analysis for movie and TV content. That's what you got to do. So there's definitely some things there. It's more than throwing 4 or 5 stars on it, which now I think is a thumbs up and thumbs down, right?
I
Did they
think so.
switch that
Yeah, I
over?
don't know that there's a star rating anymore. There may be somewhere in there. I don't know if it's as easy to...
Right. It
to get
seems counterintuitive when you're hiring for a position like this, and then you're reducing your consumer rating system from 5 points to 2
Yeah.
to a binary system.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they need this job. I hope it's legit.
I assume you're just going to get people who think very highly of their own opinions on media.
Right.
That want to, that want to sign up for this.
What do you got to have on your resume to get a job like that?
I have no idea. I mean,
What
do
do
you want a critic? Do they want some sort of someone who's written criticism in the past? It would seem like you'd want somebody who can demonstrate an ability to think critically about what they're watching, which, I mean, most people, this is not an insult, but I think most people don't. Most people just sort of look at it like, I like that or I didn't like that. They're not able to, they don't take the time, not that they're not able to, but they just don't invest the time to think about really why it is they like certain things and not like certain things.
Right. I'd presume you want somebody with a film or television background who can look at and critically analyze and review content. But the problem there is you look at like how movies are criticized on something like Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
A lot of times if you have a movie that's like artsy and popular amongst critics will think it's good, but audiences won't. Fine example, Amazon has a movie called A Ghost Story starring Casey Affleck and Kate Mara.
Sure.
Critics said it was awesome, and audiences said it was terrible.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, it goes both ways. A movie like, I don't want to say Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle was the first one I thought of. Critics were middling on
good
that.
movie.
They didn't say it was terrible.
Yeah.
But the audience score was like significantly higher. So what are you looking for here, Netflix?
I mean, I have to, if to get into Netflix's head, what good does it do to have your movie do well with critics but have no one watch it? So
Right.
what you're looking for is like the voice of the everyman, right? You want the voice of the person who is actually using Netflix and more invested in their content. So if it doesn't matter to you if some critic from New York City likes your stuff. It doesn't matter because
Right.
like you're looking for someone who's actually going to sit down and watch Netflix, which is the majority of just normal people in America, right?
Right. And you make a good point. Netflix is kind of a different audience. If you look at the Adam Sandler movies they've been making, those movies never would have made it in a traditional cinema. They're arguably, not even really arguably, they're terrible.
Yeah.
Totally not worth your time. But on Netflix, because people feel like it's free, they watch it. And then it turns out, well, that got 8 million views. That's a hit as far as Netflix is concerned. Even if it's not a particularly good movie, people were interested and checked it out. So, I don't know. I'd presume they're hiring at least more than one person,
I would
even though
think
they
so.
post one job posting. Like, it's you're posting this on the internet. We're reading stories like this. You're going to get 1 million
Yeah.
people applying. So
Clearly, their applications are going to shoot up after being featured on this show.
well, right.
So yeah, I can only imagine that they're going to fill out a number of people across a wide variety of demographics. I would think you don't just want one guy that's doing it. You want a large number of people.
What do you figure a gig like this pays?
Oh, nothing.
I'd bet at
Nothing.
best a free Netflix subscription.
I mean, maybe. Yeah.
You don't have to pay.
Yeah.
What are they going to pay you for? I mean, come on. Like, what are you going to get out of this?
Yeah, nothing. I mean,
at
whatever.
all.
Who knows? Something that meets the standard of minimum wage for wherever you are.
Yeah.
Or some sort of maybe $10 an hour. Gosh, if it paid that much, I'd be surprised.
Watch, research, rate, tag, annotate, and write analysis for. There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more than
it's a big
five,
gig.
5 stars. You really got to look at it. It's
Yeah.
a big responsibility. Big shoes to fill for Netflix.
You're
If
taking on a lot if you.
If you're interested in the gig, head to netflix.com, scroll all the way down. I think they have a job section, and you're on your way. In the meantime,
Report back.
stick around because we will be right back
We got
with
stuff.
just a little bit more of the lunch break. So yeah, stick around. Be right back. Welcome back to the lunch break. Before we get on with, I believe,
Anna, you want to sit down?
our last guest. Oh, perfect. Let's have Anna on for this.
Yeah, sure.
This will be great.
What's going on?
Anna, how's
Hey.
it going?
All good, all good.
How was your weekend?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yes.
Did you do
Good.
anything philanthropic? I feel like I've only asked you once, and you were doing charity work, and you put me to shame. So
It was
curious.
a packed charity work
Really?
weekend, pretty much. Yeah. Actually, doing something related to that this coming weekend, not this.
Oh,
one
what do you got
that
going
just
on?
happened. Cleaning up the Trinity River again. If anyone wants to join, we'll be doing that again.
Why is the Trinity River so dirty? Are people just
It's
throwing
disgusting.
garbage everywhere?
Just because it makes its way from everywhere. Honestly.
Oh, so this is just like along the banks of
So-
the river, is it?
It's a market, and I'm awful for streets. Where the rodeo goat is.
Oh, yeah.
So in the design district.
yeah.
Normally that's where we go, that part, or then actually nearby the Trinity Groves. Honestly, the first time we were doing a cleanup, we were around like 10 people, and we filled up nearly 20 bags of trash. Can you believe that?
Good grief.
So random. We found like credit cards, we found sunglasses, clothes, everything.
Do you use
can
any of those
believe.
credit cards? You try them out?
There were some suggestions. They were, maybe lunch is on this person.
Yeah.
We did not try. We were good citizens. We just shoved it in the bag.
Well, you're a better person than I am.
Well, I wanted to ask you about this social media story I found. It's weird. All
Oh
right, so
my
hear me
god.
out.
Okay.
Garry Shandling.
Are you
He's a
familiar with
comedian.
Garry Shandling?
You know him. I honestly don't really, right? You know Garry Shandling.
Yeah. Larry Sanders Show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's an HBO documentary out, at least part one of it, and I was going to watch it, but I didn't. I didn't think to prepare for this show. I apologize.
Oh,
if anybody
well,
thinks we don't prepare,
that makes two
you're
of
right.
us.
Prime
Whoops.
offender. Yeah, Garry Shandling passed away a little while back. It's very unfortunate, but I wanted to talk to you about this because his Twitter account has been revived by people that know him,
No.
and they're tweeting on behalf of Garry Shandling. What they
Seems
said
a
is
little weird.
right. What they said is he passed away in 2016, so it was longer than a minute. I apologize, a couple minutes. But friends who love Garry working with his estate are opening up his Twitter to tweet material from his writings, notes, and journals he's left us. That's what they said, and they've tweeted a joke already. I'm not Garry Shandling. It would be stupid if I read it. But go check him out on Twitter, I guess. He's active again. I was curious how you feel about this.
I am on the side that I actually have mixed feelings about it.
Me
so
too.
I do know people that actually died, and it kind of gives me a bit of, mixed feelings to think about
Yeah.
their page. Because now you can actually set up on certain pages a legacy. So someone that will take care of that if you die. Actually, I've done that with my husband. I don't know why. It's
Wait,
stupid.
what? You set up your husband to take over your social media
Yes.
after you die?
Yes.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
And what is he?
Wow.
What is he
Why-
asked? What is he tasked to do? Like,
So
just shut
there's
it
a
down
section-
whenever.
Yeah, I guess if I decide to do that, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
This is
feel
a real thing.
This is a real thing. Yeah. You can just decide that you want to close it or you want to keep it
Thank you, Josh.
active. For me, I would say take it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't want people to be remembered when my birthday is if I die
Oh
suddenly.
yeah.
That's horrible.
That happens too. Like I know some people from high school who sadly have passed away, and I'll see notifications pop up about them where someone has sent them a message or posted on their wall or something like that.
I see.
Or it's their birthday, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. It always takes me back for a second because I'm like, I thought this person died, and then I go looking through like, yes, they did, and this is really awkward
like
now.
can you imagine the pain of someone that clearly cannot go over that pain? It's just mean. I just can't. I can't imagine that happening. No. I'll be like, take it down.
If I go, delete everything with
Yes,
fire. Just
yes.
burn the whole thing
Just
down.
close the accounts.
I don't need anybody seeing
Just
it.
close the accounts.
Just burn it all.
Yeah.
Straight, it's scorched earth policy. Don't
Wow.
don't let anything go. Yeah, I feel weird about it. Is it wrong of me to think they should unverify him? I mean,
not
it's not
him.
him.
It's
yeah.
not him.
Hey, if I was verified and somebody stole my phone,
But
started
at the
tweeting
same
as
time,
me.
but at the same time, it's like history, right? Like you want to go back
Yeah.
and be able to see if you are personality or
Preserve
celebrity
it.
or whatever.
Preserve it, but don't keep
your
using
memory.
it. Yeah.
But that's the thing that when those things happen, like it's someone's birthday.
Yeah.
Like share the memory on Facebook when it's like this happened how many years ago. That's gonna bring back memories.
No.
Yeah, it'd be
Not
cool if maybe they either changed it or set up a different Twitter for like Garry Shandling Legacy or
I guess
something,
so.
and then did stuff. Like that'd be one thing. Doing it straight from the account just seems a little.
Who says that he would be okay with it?
Exactly.
Right? Not cool.
Exactly.
Not
Who
cool.
says you'd be cool with it? So when we get back, we've got one more guest to get to. So stay tuned. There's more of the lunch break coming right after this. We have one more guest for our lunch break at Dallas Startup Week. We saved the best for last.
Maybe the best business card that we've seen today.
Thank you very much.
That's
We try to be creative.
Yeah, we've seen some good ones. We got a good vertical, a couple horizontals, colors, but this one, this is a business card for the ages.
Thing's
If I
got
had it
weapon.
in front of me. Here it is. Yeah, Anna, thank you. I love this thing where, like, you and Josh both did this. You kind of, like, sneak in and drop something here. They can see that. But I
on
love
camera.
it. Yeah, I love that. There it is. Thank
Just don't
you.
look away. That's
Josh's
all. Yeah.
arm. Yes. Edwin with, I want to make sure I get this right.
D-Tate.
D-Tate.
That's right.
What is D-Tate?
D-Tate is a modern home builder here in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
That leverages technology to make the home buying process simpler and more seamless for consumers.
So what do you mean by leveraging technology? What are
we
you
are
solving?
heavily involved in using virtual reality. So so we use virtual reality, we use augmented reality to allow people to experience the home from an existential perspective as opposed to looking at pretty pictures on a 2D. So use our VR, you can change the colors of the floors, you can change the colors of the cabinets. If you don't like the way walnut looks, maybe you'll like the way oak looks, that sort of thing. So people can have more flexibility and control over the home buying process as opposed to, going to the model home in far reaches of the tertiary DFW area.
Right.
It can be on your app or it could be on your computer.
How long have you guys been in the real estate business, and how long have you been in the VR business?
Yeah, so we've been I've been in the real estate business since 2009, but I started D-Tate, at least this iteration of it, at the end of 2015. So we're kind of, we just got some pretty good funding, so we're getting ready to launch the app in Q3. And then there's some more things that we're getting ready to do in terms of making it more accessible to consumers. So again, going back to my point about usually a builder buys 30 acres, they build a model home, they says consumer A, come over to us. We're going to be following the Tesla model and being in retail stores to where there are model homes and model showrooms in retail stores. And again, we'll make that announcement pretty soon, but we're pretty excited about it.
So if I were looking to build a custom home, I could just walk into a mall and, so to speak, and put on a VR headset, and then I'm in the house.
Right. So we have designers. We're in the semi-custom space, but we can do custom. But yeah, you would typically go. Let's use the Galleria for an example.
Sure.
A lot of high-end stores, obviously, your well-to-do consumers. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to be very ubiquitous, right? So we want to be able to catch the consumer that wants to buy a $250,000 house, or the person that wants to buy a $2 million house. You're enjoying the mall with your family. You happen to see our store. You can come in and ask questions. We have designers in the store, our hosts, that will walk you through the process in a very streamlined way, using and leveraging the technology, but keeping you in control because you're telling us what you want. So if you came to me, it was, I am Mr. Johnson. I want to live in Plano. At 123 Main Street, we would leverage our technology in Google's API to use augmented reality and say this particular design on this particular lot would look this specific way. And right now, companies are not as forward thinking to leverage technology that way. There are a couple of pockets that do that, but we're trying to scale that to the everyday consumer.
Well, this is one of those ideas that comes along, and I'm like, that seems like a layup. It seems like somebody should have come up with that first.
Yeah,
So kudos.
we hope so. We hope so.
And congrats on finding funding.
Yeah, it's been a long road, hence the
right.
gray hairs.
Yeah, I was going to say, at Startup Week, I know that's something a lot of people are concerned about.
Right.
You said you started in 2015.
Yep.
How's that journey been?
Laborious, arduous, whatever adjective that you want to use. Yeah, it has been extremely, extremely stressful, but it's rewarding because we're really passionate about it. Our ethos is sharing the joy and the beauty of modern design with the world. And so that's that sustaining factor that allows you to get past all those difficult obstacles that typically most companies fail, and they hit one obstacle and they just say, you know what, I'm gonna tuck it in and go.
I've spoken to people who are doing something similar in the pre-owned home space, where they're giving you a virtual tour of the home. And I said to them, there's going to come a day when someone buys a house without ever having stepped foot inside this house.
Absolutely.
The idea of
absolutely.
buying a pre-owned home and never ever actually going there and looking at it yourself seems crazy, but there's going to be a day when that happens.
And I think it's going to be a day pretty soon. I think when you look at the Amazon effect of our culture, I don't see why we would have a long monopolized process for it to get to homes, even though the asset is considerable in terms of cost. $250,000 is usually the largest purchase somebody would make, but we already purchase cars online.
Sure.
We already make big purchases online. We're just saying we want to use this platform in terms of technology, AR, VR, and the way we build the homes is going to be uniquely different, so we can get people the product sooner, because we focus on modular design, which allows it's more sustainable, up to 70% compared to our site-built competitors, as well as, and that'll launch next year, and we can build it in half the time. So a home that would typically take 8 months, we can do it in 4.
I've heard it said before that a Boeing 747's worth of people move to DFW every day.
Yeah, so the last stat that I saw last week was 400 people move to Dallas every single day.
400.
400 people move
Get
to
off
Dallas
the roads.
every single
Get
day.
off 635. Just go anywhere else.
That's why when we do buy land, we buy it near transit-oriented development. So take advantage of DART.
I wanted to ask about, there's a very large group of realtors in DFW.
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
In fact, we work with a couple of them to do shows here. For any of them that might be listening to this and think they might be a little nervous, like, uh-oh, that sounds scary.
Absolutely.
I don't know. How can they get involved with you guys?
Yeah, so we love working with realtors.
Yeah.
We think that they have a valuable place in the market. Now, I have some controversial views on realtors. I think sometimes the 6% could be cost prohibitive. I think it could be a little obtuse, in terms of just the buying process overall. I think there's ways we can still add value and them still make a good living for their families, but not as just oppressive from a consumer standpoint. I got to give 6% of my equity away.
Right.
But yeah, they could definitely refer buyers to us. We're going to give them the normal 3% as expected. They're just selling a different type of home. So instead of going and taking your tenant on drives all throughout Dallas on the same look, because what the problem is with Dallas is we're very antiquated in the way we build. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You put the garage on the other side of the house, and it's 30 of them in the same neighborhood, and it's like, well, Sally wants to come over dinner. They just moved in from down the street, and they want to view our house. Well, Sally's house looks exactly like John's house, and so for us, we cap the amount of purchases for a specific design, and we don't. It's like the fashion industry. If it's spring, you don't wear something spring in the summer. So that allows the individuality of your biggest purchase to be that individual as opposed to a cookie cutter.
And I can get behind that, because being in a business where we talk and do creative things, it encourages creativity.
Yeah, that's what we're about.
It moves our culture forward.
We hope.
It moves
We
that
hope.
goalpost. We're not all living in cookie cutter houses.
There you go. There you
I can
go.
get behind
So
that.
I'm going to throw out the buzzword of the last 10 years, which is millennial.
Sure. I barely made it. I'm 81. I barely
Congratulations.
made it.
So we're
well,
in there
good for
together.
both of you. Yeah, neither of you are millennials. That's great.
But one of the drum beats about the millennial generation is this idea of caring more about individuality, right?
Sure.
In this idea that, like you said, it's not enough just to go out and buy a cookie cutter home.
Right.
It matters. Everything matters as
Sure.
far as, I want to put my stamp on anything that I come in contact with. So this idea of a limited run of a certain design is fascinating. And I feel like probably speaks to some people who are wanting to buy their first house, and they say, maybe I'll go a little bit smaller, but mine's going to be unique.
Absolutely, and I think just ontologically, the way we're made, all of us have a unique fingerprint, right? And so you want to just leverage that, and Nike has done a great job with that with Nike ID. Adidas is doing that as well, and so we are a real estate company, but we love technology and we love the way CPG companies package or interface with consumers. And so we try to use, because real estate can be very myopic, and this is the way we've always done it, this is the way it works, and sometimes they miss the forest for the trees. And so we try to allow ourselves to look elsewhere. What types of innovation are other industries doing? Because they are at the fingerprint, they're on the ground floor of dealing with these millennials, dealing with these Gen Zs, and we try to leverage that into a package that makes sense for a home builder.
Something that I think of when I think of a digital space is it's not rooted in any one specific location.
Right.
So you guys, you're in Dallas, but you could do this all over the country.
Absolutely.
Right?
So our plan is to hopefully conquer Dallas, whatever that word looks like.
Yeah.
We want to then move towards the Texas Triangle, which is Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and coming back up. And then if we look good there, then absolutely, Joseph Eichler is one of my biggest inspirations out of North California. Steve Jobs grew up in one of his homes. So he built over 11,000 modern homes. But this is particularly when we release the app in Q3, it will be something that a lot of people will look at and say, hopefully they'll give us a call and we can serve them in other locales as well.
Is there a particular design that you guys like, an architectural design that you guys, is it modern? Is it?
So we design based on the price point, right? And so we have a brand. Weird, right? You know, it's just sort of like BMW has a 3 Series and they have the 7 Series.
Yeah.
So for the college grad that wants to impress people, but he can afford it or she can afford it, we have the Neo model, which is about $250,000 to $500,000. And a lot of this depends on the dirt, right? How much does the dirt cost?
Yeah.
And then we have for the executive or for the more distinguished buyer, we have like the 7 Series, which is called our Phoenix model. Yeah, and so we'll have a townhome model that'll come out soon, which is called the Matrix. And so a part of that creativity is coming up with models and things like that will resonate, so people will know when they call us, we want Neo 1, we want Neo 2, depending on how many floor plans we have for that brand.
But I could drive by somewhere and say, oh, that's a D-Tate home.
Right. You'll be able to know that. We do love mid-century modern. That's something we appreciate.
Yeah.
But one of the unique things about us is we are going to put our stamp, tastefully done, on the house, so our logos will be on the house. Neo, it's just like a BMW or just like a Mercedes.
Oh, yeah.
How can people find out more about you guys?
Please contact us at sales@dtate.com. That's DETATE. You can obviously touch base with us on our social media channels. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're on House as well at DTATE Property Group, DETATE Property Group, and we'd love to correspond.
Great. Well, believe it or not, this is the end of our show.
Thank you guys for having me.
Excuse me, Edwin, while I do the outro real quick. For those of you who tuned in, thank you for watching us at Dallas Startup Week. We went a half hour over. We had 5 brilliant guests. We came correct today, and we'll be back on Wednesday in studio. The show is on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 12 to 1. Subscribe, tune in, get involved, be a part of it. It's a lot of fun, and thanks for watching. We'll see you on Wednesday at noon on Lunch Break.